Why you feel lost in life, the real reason no one tells you. What if I told you? That feeling lost isn't a personal feeling, it's a predictable neurological response to living a life misaligned with your actual values while pursuing goals your brain doesn't recognize as authentically yours. Your sense of direction comes from the brain's meaning-making systems, specifically your prefrontal cortex's ability to connect present actions to future outcomes that matter to you. When you pursue externally imposed goals disconnected from your internal values, these systems fail to generate the neurochemical signals that create purpose and motivation. You feel lost because you literally are navigationally adrift without an internal compass. This isn't find your passion cliché nonsense. This is hard science. Neuroscientists at UCLA, Stanford, and the University of Pennsylvania have documented how purpose and direction emerge from specific brain mechanisms, particularly the ventromedial prefrontal cortex's integration of value-based decision-making. Psychologist Viktor Frankl's research on meaning proves that humans don't need happiness, they need purpose. Without it, the most successful life feels empty. Ancient philosophical traditions from Aristotelian ethics to Buddhist teachings on right livelihood to Stoic concepts of living according to nature all emphasized alignment between external life and internal values. They call it authenticity, integrity, or dharma. Modern neuroscience reveals the biological mechanisms. You're not lost because you lack direction. You're lost because you're following a map drawn by someone else. I'm about to expose 10 specific mechanisms that create the experience of being lost. Each reveals a different misalignment between your external life and internal truth. Master these, and you're not just finding direction, you're building the neurological foundation for authentic purpose that your brain recognizes as genuinely yours. Your sense of being lost is a signal. Time to decode it. Part 1. The externalized values conflict. You think your goals are yours. Most people are pursuing achievement markers they absorb from family, culture, or society, without ever examining whether these targets align with their actual values. Psychologist Tim Kasser's research on intrinsic versus extrinsic goals demonstrates that pursuing externally motivated objectives, money, status, appearance, correlates with depression and anxiety regardless of achievement level. Your brain's reward systems don't activate for goals that aren't authentically yours. This is technique number 1 out of 10, the externalized values conflict. Spend 90 minutes writing answers to these questions. What do I genuinely care about when no one is watching? What do I want versus what do I think I should want? Whose approval am I seeking with my current goals? List your current major life goals. Then beside each write whose voice you hear pushing that goal, yours or someone else. Do this exercise 3 times over 21 days, noticing what shifts in your awareness. Your ventromedial prefrontal cortex generates motivation by connecting actions to values. When goals are externally imposed, this connection fails. You're working toward targets your value system doesn't recognize as meaningful. You're making explicit the implicit external programming that's hijacked your direction. Studies show that intrinsic goal pursuit predicts well-being, while extrinsic goal pursuit predicts emptiness. Achievement without alignment creates successful misery. Start identifying externalized values and watch clarity emerge as you distinguish authentic desires from absorbed obligations. Part 2. The identity foreclosure pattern. You committed to a life direction before you knew who you were. Psychologist James Marshall calls this identity foreclosure, adopting an identity without exploration, usually to please others or reduce anxiety. Research on identity development shows that people who skip the exploration phase and commit prematurely experience chronic dissatisfaction and directionlessness. You're living someone else's vision of who you should be, rather than discovering who you actually are. This is technique number 2 out of 10, the identity foreclosure pattern. For 30 consecutive days, journal on this prompt. Who would I be if I had no one to please and nothing to prove? Write for 15 minutes daily without editing or censoring. Each week, review your entries and list recurring themes. After 30 days, identify which current life commitments align with your emerging authentic identity versus which represent foreclosed choices made to satisfy others. Identity formation requires exploration, testing different possibilities before commitment. Premature commitment creates a life structure misaligned with your actual self. You're reopening the exploration phase your development skipped, allowing authentic identity to emerge rather than maintaining borrowed identity. Studies on midlife crisis reveal it's often delayed identity crisis, people finally questioning foreclosed identities that never fit. Start exploring authentic identity and watch the sense of living someone else's life dissolve as your true self emerges. Part 3. The meaning deficit syndrome. You're achieving goals, but feeling empty. Success without meaning is neurologically indistinguishable from failure. Your brain's purpose detection systems remain inactivated regardless of accomplishment. Neuroscientist Emily Fox research shows that personally meaningful activities activate the brain's reward networks differently than neutral tasks even when difficulty and outcome are identical. Your brain has meaning detection systems that assess whether activities matter to you. This is technique number 3 out of 10, the meaning deficit syndrome. Each evening for 60 consecutive days, rate every major activity from your day on the scales. Achievement 110. How successfully did I complete this? And meaning 110. How much did this matter to me? Plot these on a grid. After 60 days, analyze the pattern. Are you spending time in high achievement, low meaning activities? Calculate the percentage of your life in each quadrant. Create a plan to increase high meaning activities regardless of achievement level. Your brain's default mode network processes meaning whether activities connect a larger purpose and values. High achievement without meaning fails to activate these networks, creating successful emptiness. You're quantifying the meaning deficit, creating your directionlessness and making it visible for correction. Research shows that meaning predicts life satisfaction more than achievement, wealth, or status. Your brain needs mattering, not just accomplishing. Start tracking meaning separately from achievement and watch fulfillment increase as you prioritize what matters over what impresses. Part 4. The comparison orientation trap. You're navigating by constantly checking whether you're ahead or behind others. This creates perpetual directionlessness because you're using relative position rather than absolute direction as your compass. Psychologist Leon Festinger's social comparison theory explains that humans instinctively evaluate themselves relative to others, but in the age of curated social media, this mechanism creates impossible standards and chronic inadequacy regardless of actual progress. This is technique number 4 out of 10, the comparison orientation trap, for 45 consecutive days. Completely eliminate social media and limit exposure to others' achievement narratives. During this period, define success purely by your own standards. I'll know I'm succeeding when I specific internal metrics only you can measure. Write these personal success criteria and review them daily. Document weekly how your sense of direction and purpose shifts without comparative benchmarks. Constant comparison activates your brain's threat detection systems. You're perpetually assessing competitive position rather than evaluating alignment with values. Removing comparison allows your internal navigation systems to re-engage. You're discovering what progress means to you when external benchmarks disappear. Studies show that social media use correlates with depression and anxiety. Comparison hijacks your internal compass with external coordinates. Start eliminating comparison and watch internal direction emerge as you stop navigating by others' maps. Part 5. The over-optimization problem. You're trying to make perfect decisions that maximize all variables simultaneously. This creates paralysis and the sense that no direction is right because you're seeking a path that doesn't exist. Psychologist Barry Schwartz's research on the paradox of choice demonstrates that excessive options and optimization attempts lead to decision paralysis and chronic dissatisfaction. Your brain's decision-making systems overload when trying to optimize too many variables. This is technique number 5 out of 10, the over-optimization problem. For your next major life decision, deliberately practice satisfactory plus sufficing instead of maximizing. Define your minimum acceptable criteria, 3 specific must-haves only. Choose the first option that meets these criteria without additional deliberation or comparison. Do this for 10 consecutive decisions over 50 days, documenting your satisfaction levels compared to previous perfectionist decision-making. Your brain's decision systems work efficiently with clear minimum criteria, but jam when seeking perfect optimization. Every additional variable increases cognitive load geometrically. You're training decisive action based on sufficient criteria, rather than impossible perfection, eliminating the paralysis, creating your directionlessness. Research shows that satisficers report higher life satisfaction than maximizers despite making worse decisions. Good enough is better than best. Start practicing satisficing and watch decision confidence increase as you escape paralysis through sufficient rather than perfect choices. Part 6. The present moment disconnection. You raise so focused on future destinations that you're psychologically absent from present life. This creates directionlessness because you can't navigate from a location you're not actually inhabiting. Neuroscientist Judson Brewer's research on mind wandering shows that psychological time travel mental dwelling in past or future correlates with unhappiness regardless of where your mind wanders to. Your brain can only engage meaningfully with present experience. This is technique number 6 out of 10, the present moment disconnection, for 70 consecutive days. Practice this protocol 3 times daily: morning, midday, evening. Stop for 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what am I experiencing right now in my body, emotions, and immediate surroundings? Describe present moment reality without past or future reference. When you notice future-oriented thought, where am I going? Redirect to present-oriented thought, what am I doing right now? Document how your sense of lostness shifts. Direction comes from knowing where you are and taking the next step, not from obsessing about the destination. Present moment awareness activates your brain's orientation systems. Your training presence, which paradoxically creates clearer direction than future-focused anxiety. Studies show that present moment awareness reduces anxiety and increases life satisfaction. Presence provides the foundation for purposeful action. Start anchoring in present moments and watch directionlessness decrease as you orient from actual current location rather than imagined futures. Part 7. The purpose passion. Confusion. You're waiting to find your passion before choosing direction. Passion isn't found, it's developed through engaged commitment to chosen paths, not discovered through searching. Psychologist Cal Newport's research on passion challenges the follow your passion narrative. Longitudinal studies show that passion develops as you build competence and see impact, not as a pre-existing feeling guiding career choice. This is technique number 7 out of 10, the purpose passion confusion. Stop searching for passion. Instead, for 90 days, commit deeply to one chosen activity regardless of current passion level. Deliberately practice this activity with full engagement 5 times weekly. Track the metrics, competence growth, specific skill improvements, and impact awareness. Who benefits from your work? After 90 days, reassess your passion level compared to day 1. Your brain develops passion through the neurochemical rewards of mastery and contribution, not through pre-existing affinity. Waiting to feel passionate before committing keeps you perpetually searching. You're experiencing how passion emerges from commitment rather than preceding it. Research on job satisfaction shows that people who develop expertise and see impact love their work. Passion follows investment, not vice versa. Start committing before feeling passionate and watch passion emerge through engaged mastery rather than elusive discovery. Part 8. The authenticity suppression cycle. Performing a version of yourself designed to gain approval, rather than expressing your actual preferences, opinions, and inclinations. This creates directionlessness because you don't know who's navigating the real you or the performed you. Psychologist Donald Winnicott's concept of the false self describes the adaptive personality created to win acceptance while the authentic self remains hidden. Living from false self creates chronic emptiness regardless of external success. This is technique number 8 out of 10, the authenticity suppression cycle. For 60 consecutive days, deliberately practice one authentic micro-expression daily, sharing a genuine preference, declining something you'd normally accept to please others, or expressing an unpopular opinion. Start small. Document each authentic expression and notice, what did you fear would happen? What actually happened? How did authenticity feel? Track the cumulative effect on your sense of self and direction. Your brain's self-concept integrates actual behaviors when you consistently act inauthentically. Your self-concept becomes confused. You don't know who you are because you're not behaving like who you are. You're rebuilding authentic self-concept through behavioral alignment with internal truth. Studies on authenticity show it predicts well-being better than achievement or wealth. Being yourself matters more than succeeding as someone else. Start expressing authentic micro-truths and watch self-clarity increase as behavior aligns with internal reality. Part 9. The transition limbo state. Between life chapters without accepting that transition itself is a legitimate place to be. You pathologize normal developmental transition as being lost, rather than recognizing transformation as a process. Psychologist William Bridges' work on transitions distinguishes between change, external circumstances, and transition, internal reorientation. The neutral zone between old identity and new identity feels disorienting, but is essential for genuine transformation. This is technique number 9 out of 10, the transition limbo state. If you're in life transition, stop fighting the in-between state. For 100 days, journal daily on what is ending, what might be beginning, what am I learning in this liminal space. Reframe I'm lost as I'm in transition. Create a ritual marking this transitional period as sacred rather than problematic. Give yourself permission to not have it figured out yet. Your brain seeks stability, and certainty transition triggers threat responses because it's fundamentally uncertain. Accepting transition as legitimate reduces the anxiety that makes it feel like failure. You're normalizing a temporary developmental stage rather than pathologizing necessary transformation. Research on life transition shows that people who accept the neutral zone navigate it more effectively than those who fight. Yet acceptance facilitates rather than prevents emergence. Start accepting transition as process and watch the anxiety of being lost decrease as you recognize transformation requires temporary disorientation. Part 10. The contribution void experience here. That's something that will blow your mind. You feel lost because your life contains insufficient service to others. Humans are neurologically wired to derive meaning from contribution. Self-focused existence creates existential emptiness. Neuroscientist Jordan Grafman's research on altruism shows that helping others activates reward centers more powerfully than receiving help. Viktor Frankl's logotherapy demonstrates that meaning comes from self-transcendence, moving beyond self-concern toward contribution. This is technique number 10 out of 10. The contribution void experience. For 80 consecutive days, engage in one specific contribution activity: weekly volunteering, mentoring, creating something useful for others, or serving your community. The key is regularity and specificity, not scale. Document 2 things after each contribution. Who benefited from this? And how do I feel about my life today? Compare your sense of purpose on contribution weeks versus non-contribution weeks. Your brain's meaning-making systems activate when you positively impact others. Self-focused achievement fails to trigger these systems regardless of success level. You're adding the missing ingredient: transcendent purpose that transforms empty success into meaningful life. Studies consistently show that contribution predicts life satisfaction better than income or achievement. Your brain needs mattering to others. Start contributing regularly to something beyond yourself and watch directionlessness dissolve as transcendent purpose activates meaning-making systems. Closing these 10 mechanisms aren't separate problems, they're an integrated system of misalignment between your external life and internal truth that creates the experience of being lost. You're not failing. You're succeeding at the wrong things or pursuing right things for wrong reasons. Externalized values conflict reveals borrowed goals. Identity foreclosure pattern exposes premature commitment. Meaning deficit syndrome quantifies empty achievement. Comparison orientation trap shows external navigation. Over-optimization problem reveals decision paralysis. Present moment disconnection highlights psychological absence. Purpose passion confusion reverses cause and effect. Authenticity suppression cycle documents false self-living. Transition limbo state normalizes developmental process. Contribution void experience identifies missing transcendence. Ancient wisdom traditions understood that directionlessness comes from misalignment. Socrates said, "Know thyself." Buddha taught right livelihood. Stoics emphasized living according to nature. They knew that feeling lost signals disconnect between how you're living and who you actually are. Modern neuroscience confirms their insights with documented mechanisms. Your brain has purpose detection, meaning-making, and value alignment systems. When external life contradicts internal truth, these systems fail. You feel lost because you literally are navigationally adrift without internal compass. Your transformation doesn't start tomorrow or next week. It starts the moment you list your goals and ask whose voice you hear. It starts when you journal on who you'd be with nothing to prove. It starts when you choose sufficient over perfect in your next decision.